Muchas gracias a todos por asistir a este evento informativo. El día de hoy tenemos una invitada muy especial. Su nombre es Deborah Parker. Deborah, thank you very much for your time. All right, I just explained to our guest who you are about. All right, so other than that, I mean, just let's move on. Yes.
Sounds good. So again, my name is Deborah. Mucho gusto. And entiendo un poco, hablo un poco, pero no mucho. Suficiente. Gracias. Okay. So I have a little presentation about the school district, a little bit about the schools, the activities, the homestay. So I can present it slide by slide, and then you can translate in the future.
Yes.
And Christian, if you have questions in the middle, please ask.
Sure,
or at the end, just ask. Let's make it a little informal,
yes,
so that we get as much information to your parents as possible.
Fantastic.
Okay?
Thank you very much, Deborah. Thank you.
Bueno. So the purpose of this is to help you to decide to choose Winnipeg School Division. And throughout the presentation and in my discussions with Christian, I want to reinforce that Winnipeg is safe. It's also economical, and it's also a very Canadian experience for your children and for his students and his clients. I know absolutely that when your parents are thinking about Canada, Christian, they're imagining Winnipeg. They're imagining snow and ice and hockey and very friendly people. And that is exactly what we have to offer, is a very safe city, a safe experience. It's economical. It's also very, very Canadian.
Awesome.
So let's get started.
You're right. You know, most of my parents would say to me like, well, I'm not feeling comfortable sending my child to Toronto or big cities, you know, because sometimes it's an overwhelming experience for them. So that's why we recommend this school district, because I mean, the experience we've had with previous students just reinforces that like this is the real experience, you know, with local people.
Exactly. So I think the reason that parents choose Canada is obvious, right? Because of the people, because it is safe. Probably the number one reason any parent who does the homework understands that Canada has the highest ranking English speaking education in the world. So it is a very good choice to send students for a short time to practice English. It is also a very good choice to send students for their high school education and then to further their education in university. So Canada in general is an excellent choice, and I guarantee an excellent experience anywhere in Canada. The quality of education is consistent in all the programs. That can be guaranteed. So why Winnipeg? So some reasons why Winnipeg. So Winnipeg is not famous, right? We are not Vancouver. We're not Toronto. We're not Montreal. We're Winnipeg in the center of Canada. In the center of Canada, it is very flat, right? It's the prairies, right? And because it is in the center of Canada, there's no sea, there's no mountains, right? It's very flat. There's nothing to protect it from the elements. So in Winnipeg, we have very, very extreme weather. We have very hot climate. We also have a very cold climate. And so this is what makes it very, very special for Winnipeg. This is what makes it possible to experience a 30 degrees at the beach, and also even maybe on occasion, minus 30 degrees in the snow. Okay, so the temperature is very, very extreme in Winnipeg. Winnipeg is a very small city. It's a very small capital city, less than 1 million people. But it is a capital city. And what this means is we have all of the government. It means we have restaurants, we have entertainment. We have all of the amenities and facilities of the big cities of Vancouver and Toronto, but we have the small city size. And this means that students can get from their homestay or from their school to see a concert in very little time, very safely. So for example, if a concert is playing in Vancouver or Toronto, a very famous, if U2, for example, is playing in one of these cities, it is also playing in Winnipeg. And it's not necessary for students to travel an hour to see a concert or to see a hockey game. It is only necessary for them to travel 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Also, because of the size, it is nearly impossible for students to be lost. And if they're ever lost, it's only a matter of minutes before they can find their way. And also they can ask a very friendly Canadian for help in the city. So very good reasons to choose Winnipeg over the larger cities. Also, I should mention, and I will talk about fees in the future, Winnipeg is a very economical city in general. So this means it's also a very economical city to study. Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa on my map are all very expensive cities to live in in Canada. Winnipeg is very economical. And so for that reason, the tuition and the homestay fees are also very economical.
Yes, I totally agree with that. It's a very affordable and comprehensive, the price, and in comparison with other cities, yes.
Exactly. So I mentioned at the very beginning that we are very Canadian, right? A very Canadian experience. We do experience all 4 seasons. So if a student chooses to go to Vancouver, for example, it is beautiful. It is one of our best cities, but they will not see snow unless they go to the mountains, because Vancouver doesn't get snow. In Winnipeg, I guarantee snow. We have all 4 seasons. It's very natural. And for many of our students, it is very, very new. So all 4 of these pictures are taken from a famous park in Winnipeg, very, very near to my office in Winnipeg. I mentioned that we are a capital city. It means that we have business. It means we have industry. It means we have restaurants and events. We have professional sports, the same as the big cities. We have, of course, professional hockey, very famous, Winnipeg Jets. We also have American football team. We have a baseball team, and very new, only 2 years old, we have finally a professional football team, soccer team. Valor. So it's very big. It's a very big deal. So even soccer is growing in popularity in Winnipeg. We have many arts, many cultural events, many festivals. On the bottom of the screen, you see the famous Royal Winnipeg Ballet, right? Very, very, very famous. We also have a very large Indigenous community and a lot of respect for Indigenous people. Winnipeg is extremely multicultural. It is also extremely cultural. So Winnipeg looks like this. The city looks like this. It is broken into a number of districts or divisions. Winnipeg School Division, the main one, is in the center. So when students have choices to attend other districts, other divisions, they wonder why to choose Winnipeg School Division. I recommend to choose Winnipeg School Division because it is in the center. It's very easy to get to cultural events, to get to the concerts, to navigate from the center. We also have more high schools and more high school options than our competitors around us. So to give you an example, the largest division, which is not ours, is to the northeast, has only 5 high schools. We have 12 high schools. And this year we have 8 high schools which are accepting international students. This means more options and more choices for international students. Every school, every program will have strong academics. We have English programming. We also have French programming. We have also an international baccalaureate program for students who are interested in taking the program itself or who are interested in taking a portion of their IB program with us in Winnipeg School Division. We have, of course, arts, we have drama, we have musical productions. We have some schools which specialize in arts and musical productions, in drama. We have other schools that specialize in STEM or high technology. Athletics, of course, are a part of every program. Working with Yaicos and working with Christian, we can determine which schools will support students in some of their sports goals.
Yeah, Deborah, this is a very important aspect, that if you could elaborate more on this, because some parents will they need to understand that in Canada, the schools will have a strong component on every. Each school has a different speciality, whereas in Latin America, most of the school has the same education. They might be different, but some of the school has a strong aspect on arts, and others in technology, others in sports. So this is something that the parents should take a grasp on that idea.
So the question is often, do students have a choice? Can they select their own school? And the answer is yes. Technically, they do have a choice. As I say, we have 8 high schools accepting international students next year. However, not all schools are exactly equal, as you point out. Some schools specialize in arts, some are highly academic, others are very sports oriented. And even if there are 3 sports oriented schools, one school may excel at basketball, another school may really excel at soccer or hockey. So this is why it is very important for us to work together, that is Yaicos and Winnipeg School Division, to determine the best choice for the students, because we want their experience to be successful. Awesome. Any school, I can guarantee an excellent academic experience. But students are also coming here to experience more, right? They want to supplement their experience, or they want to extend their Chilean or their Latin American experience in Canada. So for example, they may also want to continue to swim. If they're highly competitive swimmers, we have a specific school. If they want to try American football, I do not recommend they go to the most competitive football school, because if the student is just trying American football for the first time, he will not play, right? So we want that student to experience American football. So we put him into a smaller school, less competitive, where we can guarantee he has a chance to play on the field.
Yeah, better participation. Yeah, for sure. Yes.
Exactly. So this is what, yes. So the question is, can they choose? Yes. But I think it is better under the guidance of Yaicos and Winnipeg School Division to determine the best choice based on the personality of the school. Also the size of the school. Our smallest high school has only 500 students. Our largest high school has almost 2,000.
Wow.
And the size of the school can make the difference, right? So this is why it's very important to communicate and very important to make sure that we make the best placement based on information, not pictures, right? Information, not just pictures. Extracurricular activities, a very important part of the high school experience. All of the schools offer extracurricular during lunch or in the evening. This includes clubs, also includes sports. Also, as a part of our program, we have monthly field trips. So this is monthly time that we take away from school to visit a local museum or to visit an art gallery to see some nature. For example, last month we took students to see a hockey game, because of course you don't study in Canada without seeing a hockey game. Next week, we will have a field trip with skating, hot chocolate, so a kind of a Christmas theme. So we want to integrate students into their schools to make Canadian friends, but we also want to create a community of international students. And this is what we do through our field trips.
All right. And Deborah, one question regarding these extracurricular activities. Yeah, are they like, I believe, what we've talked about in the past, like if those activities are within the school, then most of them are free. But I mean, if it's going to a hockey game, it might expect the parents, to have, of the student to have this pocket money to buy those tickets, or is it paid by the host family and then reimbursed by the student? Those are the minor things that sometimes parents would like to know.
Those are really great questions. For the most part, all extracurricular activities are free, unless there's special equipment required. And even so, most schools will loan the equipment to the students. Okay. So almost 100% the extracurricular are free. If a student comes with special requests, for example, to continue gymnastics or to continue cello or violin, or to continue swimming, and this requires private lessons or private competition and training, then of course this is above and beyond the tuition. But for the most part, the tuition is inclusive of all extracurricular activities and field trips, including hockey games.
Wow, fantastic.
So we can guarantee a hockey game during the experience, but often homestay families will want to take their students to additional games. This is for negotiation between the homestay family and the student.
Okay.
Because because there is an expense. I want to say that often homestay families will purchase for the family and include the student, but it sometimes depends on the event and the expense.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So this is a kind of a program math that I developed just for this presentation. We're expecting approximately 110 students next year. Could be more, could be less. With the pandemic, I really don't know what to expect, but I think that the numbers are strong and there's a lot of interest. So I think at least 110 students. Right now, currently, we have 8 languages represented in our international program. It makes us very diverse, and 14 different countries. Next year, we will have 8 schools. I think this equals one great program. So we offer to our partners short term, which is typically 4 months between September and December, because the Christmas break is a natural time to return home. Students may also study for a complete semester or an academic year. Some students attend with the intention of returning home with the credits that they earn at their Canadian high school. So what this means is students spend a semester or a year with us. They return home to continue their high school experience, but they haven't missed any learning because they're counting their Manitoba credits, their Winnipeg credits, with their high schools at home. This is not possible in 4 months because all of the exams come in the 5th month. But for those students who are investing and the parents who are investing in a semester or a year, it is possible to transfer their learning back to their high schools at home. A very small portion, but not insignificant portion of our students attend our schools for multiple years, for grade 10, for grade 11 and 12, for example, with the intention to graduate with a Manitoba high school diploma and then carry on to post-secondary in Canada. So again, very diverse languages, very diverse countries represented, and then very diverse experiences from 4 months to practice English, to meet some Canadian friends, to have a Canadian winter experience, to a semester and year to have an academic experience. They will transfer home, and then multiple years where students can obtain a high school diploma and continue on in Canada.
Deborah, one question. Yeah.
Go ahead.
When it comes to receiving this Manitoba diploma, high school diploma, how many years do they need? Is it at least 11 and 12?
That's a great question, because the answer is 1 year. It is possible to graduate in 1 year, but what it means is there's very little flexibility in terms of what courses a student can take.
Okay.
So what we do in this case, for example, if you have a student from Chile who's interested in a Manitoba high school diploma, for whatever reason, for their portfolio, to continue on to post-secondary, or simply because it's possible.
Okay.
What we do is we transfer the Chilean school courses towards a Manitoba diploma. We enhance it with the courses that the government requires all international students to take. These are absolutely mandatory, to create a program over the year, which makes it possible for a student to graduate.
Wow.
It's very rigorous, but it's possible. What it means is less time at the hockey game, less time at concerts and things, and more time studying, but it is possible.
So would you recommend at least 2 years, right? To be more flexible and less hectic, that pace?
I do recommend 2 years, because it also gives the student the opportunity to immerse in English first, right? And to kind of master that, before the high stakes courses, which are required for graduation.
Yeah, to flex their muscle first, Mm-hmm.
Precisely. So in terms of intake, we have September, which is the most common, right? This is the beginning of our school year here. The second semester begins in February. We can also take students in January, but this is more common for elementary, because elementary students can begin any time in the year. Yes. And they don't have credits, right? So there's not exams and there's not credits. There's not that kind of credit currency. So the most common times for high school students to begin are September and February. We have academic programs in English and French. As I say, we also have vocational courses and vocational programs. So it is possible for a student to study cybersecurity, for example, to study pastry arts or culinary arts. It's possible for them to study the same types of programs they would see in college, in high school. So, for example, I know, Christian, you're very involved in the Latin American market. Just to give you an example, we had a student from Brazil who completed a culinary arts program in Winnipeg School Division. So at the same time that he was participating in courses which would give him the same credential as college, he was also taking his academic courses towards his Manitoba high school diploma. So this is another possibility for consideration.
Wow, this is great, because maybe they can then transfer these credits to a more advanced program, right, in the future.
They absolutely can.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
so, and there are already agreements between colleges in Manitoba and Winnipeg School Division to have students transfer those courses when they proceed. So when they complete their program of study in Winnipeg School Division, they can attend college here using some Winnipeg School Division courses towards their college diploma or college certificate.
And one last question, Deborah, now that we're talking about like this progression, the academic progression, what are the chances that a student that graduate from Winnipeg School District can have access to a university?
The chances are very good. As you know, right, a student can use his or her high school diploma from home to apply as an international student to a college or a university in Canada. Having a Manitoba high school diploma does give them an advantage, right? And so we have some students who finish their high school diploma at home, who come to Canada, come to Winnipeg School Division for 1 year and choose which diploma to apply to university. So they have a choice. Just to give you another example, currently we have a Mexican student who has already completed her high school experience in Mexico, who is studying in Winnipeg School Division for 1 year, at the end of which she will decide which diploma she will use to apply to university.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah, great to hear.
It is fantastic. And just speaking of this Mexican student, so she's very interested in a post-secondary certificate or diploma program, even a degree program in medicine, related to medicine. So it could be pharmacy. Unfortunately, there's no direct entry to medicine, but it could also be nursing or physiotherapy. And we have put her into one of our schools, which has a medical professionals program, which, like the technical vocational culinary arts program for the Brazil boy, will prepare her for her post-secondary experience in the medical field. So we have many, many options, many specialized programs. This is why I recommend to work very closely together to determine what are the best schools for your students and for your clients' children.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So French and English, it's Canada. We have also extracurricular activities included. And then, as I say, a monthly field trip guaranteed for the students. So just to give you an example of some field trips. So here's one, it was pre-pandemic, which is a field trip to a very popular destination in Winnipeg, which is the Forks. And so this is when we brought almost 100 international students together to see each other. After 3 or 4 weeks of English only, they had an opportunity to speak in their first language with students from other schools and to get a little bit of relief. Of course, Halloween is very important in Canada. So here we have some students participating in some Halloween games. The picture on the top left of your screen, the very center, we have our first student from Yaicos, represented here from just outside Santiago, and very happy to see her as Thing 3 from Dr. Seuss. And she is with her Brazilian friend, her friend from Spain. We also have her two friends from Germany, just to give you a sense of how diverse we are.
Martina, right?
Yes, this is Martina, yes, which will mean something to you, but maybe not your parents, but happy to showcase her here.
Yes.
Hockey night in Canada, of course, you don't come to Canada to study without seeing some hockey. And so you asked about fees, and of course, this one was a program organized field trip, and so there was no admission fee. So this was included. A winter, right? This is Winnipeg. This is Canada. You see Martina in the center again, top left. She's very photogenic. And so this is a combination of two different winter experiences. The one experience was a little more mild than the second. In the one case, we had -15 temperatures, but you can still see the smiles on the students' faces. They're in Winnipeg, but they're enjoying the winter, Lunar New Year is very important in January or February. So we have some of our Asian students celebrating, but also some students from Spain. We have a student from Iran on the screen, also Mexico. So we try to include all of our students and a variety of extracurricular. As I say, soccer is becoming more and more important. So we held, the Winnipeg School Division held an invitational soccer tournament and invited programs from the city to compete. Unfortunately, we did not place, but we're very happy to have another soccer tournament when the restrictions allow. Just before the pandemic in February, when it was really cold, we invited all of our students for some indoor beach volleyball. So this is a very large facility with sand and a volleyball court, and we also had some soccer as well. So it just gives you a sense of the community, the happiness, and what we try to build as part of our program experience. It's not all winter and cold. These photos were taken in May, and we have also the outdoor experience. There's a lot of nature in Canada. We have a lot of access to nature in Canada. So here are some students experiencing nature and the camp experience just outside of Winnipeg. And this field trip also included in the tuition. Homestays, let's talk about homestays. I know that your parents will have a lot of questions. The point of the homestay versus residence is that students experience a Canadian family and a lifestyle, right? So some parents will come to search for an international experience, which includes boarding schools or residence. In this case, and Christian, you'll know that in this case, all of the Spanish speakers and residents, that's what they speak in the evening and all weekend. That's not the point of this experience. And so we have homestays so that our students are completely immersed in English. And we require, of course, that our homestays speak English or French always. And also, we will not put two Spanish-speaking students together in the same homestay. Our homestays, we say, are safe, they're English-speaking, they're caring, safe in that they have all passed their police checks, their criminal records checks, and someone from my team has personally visited the home to see the facilities which are available to the students. All students are guaranteed a private room with a door, of course, for privacy, and also 3 meals. And if you'll think back to my map of the city of Winnipeg, all of our homestays are centrally located. We try to place students no more than 30 minutes from school. 45 minutes is the maximum that we will place students from their school in their homestays. Christian, I'm sure you have a lot of questions about homestays, so now is the time to ask. Just to say before you go ahead, that each of the pictures along the bottom are all Winnipeg School Division homestays. So you see some older homes and some newer homes. It really depends on the area within the division, but these are all taken from our homestay homes.
And Deborah, one question. I mean, tell me your experience about this transition where Winnipeg School District took over all the control regarding the accommodation, the finding, classification, and everything regarding the homestays. I mean, some parent would say, how does that work? How is my son or my daughter going to be matched with a specific school? Is it like based on how close it to the actual school, and how does that work? Some of them will ask me, What if I have like a specific requirements, like religious requirements or dietary requirements? Yeah.
Those are really great questions. So we do make matches based on personality first and then proximity. So for example, if we have a homestay family, which is better suited for a student based on dietary restrictions, based on religion, based simply on interest, then we will try to place a student there before proximity, because it is more important that a student feel comfortable. As I say, Winnipeg is very easy to navigate and it's very easy to get around the city. So we will place a student a little bit further from the school to make sure that it is a good match based on the personality of the family, the personality and interest of the students before proximity. So proximity plays into it, but it is not number one.
So
this is why when students complete the homestay profile, we want them to be honest and complete as much information as possible. We do the same with the homestay family. We ask, how do they spend their evenings? How do they spend their weekends? What are the family's hobbies? What are the expectations of the family? It may be that the family has an expectation of a student who is very independent, who doesn't require a lot of support, right? So we would place an older student with the family, or a student who is already very social, who says that she is extroverted. It might be that the family is expecting to really, really care for a student and spend a lot of time with the student. In this case, we might put a younger student who is more dependent, who is shy, for example, and not very extroverted. So we really look at the personality of the students very, very carefully before we make our match.
Perfecto. Thank you very much.
De nada. So I say centrally located. We interview the student, the families. We have a home inspection. We also provide support to the families. So all of the families receive an orientation. They receive a manual. They receive ongoing support. The event that we are having next week with the skating and the hot chocolate and everything is also for the families, because we want the families to create a community of support so that they can lean on each other and find out and determine some strategies to support international students together. We have a full-time homestay administrator on my team, and she is 100% dedicated to recruiting homestay families and maintaining quality homestay families. That is her only job. And so she is constantly communicating with homestay families about minor conflict, recommending clubs and after school events, coordinating additional hockey games, movies nights that are coming out. So that is 100% her job. So that is that support piece, which we think is very, very important.
I totally agree. So I can see, in some of the pictures that one of the concern from the parents, so that they arrived to Winnipeg, they are welcomed by their host family, which is a fantastic, welcoming experience.
Yes, we make that a requirement. Every homestay family must attend the airport, must receive their students. And unlike some programs and some companies, we don't pay for this. We don't ask students to pay for the pickup. We expect all of our families. We want our students to be integrated into the family and treated as a family member from the beginning. This is not a fancy Airbnb. This is not a business contract. This is family. And yes, exactly. So from the beginning, we expect parents, the homestay parents, to be at the airport with us, right? There's always myself or one of my team at the airport. Always, it is an expectation.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. So fees, there's always a question of fees. So these are our current fees, which are very, very common. So we have, of course, the application fee, medical insurance, which is a flat rate. We have an excellent partner in medical insurance. The academic year is their semester, prorated at the bottom to per month. The homestay is $800 per month. We've kind of grouped these by year. I think you can can capture this and easily translate it, we do have a minimum 4-month stay.
Yes.
And for those students who have special dietary requirements, for example, if they're gluten-free, lactose intolerant, vegan, halal, there's a special diet fee added to that. The bottom, the transcript validation, is very important for students who expect to transfer their credits home with them when they return, and their home countries require that validation of the Canadian education system. So that's built in there. I think that might be a new fee for you, Christian, but that's why it's there. You'll notice that there is no airport pickup fee, right? That's already included. There is no activities fee that is included, right? The extracurricular, it's all included. So basically, to be very transparent, this is it. There's no hidden fees. The only additional fee for which students are responsible is the public transportation, because students take public transportation from the homestay to school every day. Some students are lucky enough to be within walking distance, but for the most part, students are paying for that public transportation. It's approximately $80 per month. Just to let you know, this is not covered.
Fantastic. I mean, what you're saying, you're mentioning a very important aspect, which is transparency. We try to explain the parents that we do. I mean, if they apply for Yaicos, they will pay the same tuition. So there's no extra charges if they book their experience with Winnipeg School District through us, right? And the other question that I have most of the time is like regarding insurance. So it is important to mention, I mean, on your side, Deborah, is insurance mandatory? I mean, the students should pay these, medical insurance, or they can just bring like whatever insurance they might have from the country.
So it is mandatory, and it does say on our website, it doesn't say here, but it does say elsewhere that it is mandatory, because we have reviewed our insurance needs with our partner, and we are very confident, even in the COVID related, in the travel insurance. With our partner, students are insured from the moment they leave their home country. So for example, if students are traveling from Santiago and they have a stop in Buenos Aires, for example, and something happens there, they're covered, right? And this makes us feel very confident. And then if they're traveling to Toronto before they transit to Winnipeg and something happens, they're covered. We are 100% confident in our insurance. Our schools and our school principals are confident in our insurance. They will not accept another insurance because we don't know it, because we don't understand the riders, because we don't understand the benefits. So this is mandatory. It is also very inexpensive. If a Yaicos student wants to apply for 4 months or 1 semester, right, it is $500. It is the same if they want to apply for 1 year. This is true. Students often apply for 4 months or 5 months, and they love it, and they decide to stay. In this case, they're covered for the year. They don't pay an additional fee for staying a second semester. It is a flat fee. It's very reasonable. It's excellent insurance.
Yeah. This is a very important aspect, that this insurance is 100% tailored, for this specific program. We don't want to rely on an unknown insurance that could leave us behind in a very specific moment. So parents can be 100% sure that this is the right insurance, accepted by the government of Ontario, by the provincial government, and also by the school. So rest assured, this is a great insurance product. Yes.
It's a great insurance product, and we have all of the fine print in Spanish for your parents. So if they request to compare it, or if they have any doubts, we have it in English. We also have it available in Spanish. Not only the brochure, but the multi-page document, which outlines all of the benefits.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Deborah.
How to join us? You had a question, Christian, about some parents who think that there may be an advantage to applying outside of Yaicos or applying directly. Yeah. I do not recommend.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it because, hablo español un poco, pero no mucho. If there's an accident, if there's an emergency, if there is something, there's a reason to work with a parent, and the parent's English is not perfect, we need to have you. We need to work with an agent. the chance of having a study permit or a visa approved with an agent is greater than a parent trying to complete all of the paperwork on his own or her own. We really want to work with agents. So yes, the number one step is to apply online, but through Yaicos. In fact, I imagine that many of your parents are looking for a homestay option. It could be that they have some family here in Winnipeg. We are very multicultural. We have, a small Spanish-speaking community in Winnipeg. But students who expect to have homestay accommodation must come through an agent. And this is really for that emergency experience. If there is a reason that we need to contact parents about something, we need to feel confident that the communication is being translated accurately. We need to make sure that it is accurate communication. So working with Yaicos to submit the application, we want translated transcripts, especially in the case of students who want to graduate with a Manitoba diploma. We must have translated documents. For those students who are interested in a semester only or a more kind of English immersion experience, we will accept Spanish non-translated transcripts just to know the level of the student, but of course translation is nicer, better for our schools. Of course, the passport page. Some passports are very, very old already, so we want a recent photo. And then for the students who are staying in homestay, we want a complete and very robust homestay profile. The next step is to pay, right, to receive the letter of acceptance, to apply for the permit or the visa if necessary, the permit if it's more than 6 months, and then to arrive, report to school, and to update us with transcripts. So it's all here if you want to translate it verbatim, but basically it's the process. And 100%, I recommend to your parents to work with a quality agency because it makes the difference for the application. It also makes the difference in case of emergency or in case of conflict between homestays, or even to give you an example, very unfortunately, we have already had to send one of our students home. The student was prepared to stay in Winnipeg School Division for a year, but because of unfortunate circumstances, she had to return home to Italy. And it was very important to work very closely with our agent on this situation from when it began to when she arrived home in Italy. So this is where our partnership pays off, really. It really pays off when there are urgent situations and there's a need for excellent and accurate communication.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're totally right. We can help the parents navigate all this information from step 1 to step 4, and also all to answer all those specific questions, that might come up in their own language, which is great. I mean, this presentation has been fantastic. I mean, you've covered every single point that most of the parents have asked us. So thank you very much for this brilliant presentation. And I don't know if you have something else to say. I mean, again, most of the questions have been asked. Maybe you can explain us a little bit just to wrap up the situation where 1, 2, 3, or 4 students are coming from one school and they want to study at the same school, but at Winnipeg, so because they want to be together, because we want to give support to each other. So how are these situations just managed?
Mm-hmm. So we do want to balance that. We understand that students arrive, there is some comfort in being with friends. If it's really important, if students are here for a short-term experience and it's mostly to practice English and to have this kind of immersion experience, we may be able to accommodate. But really, we have many Spanish-speaking students from different countries. There is already a lot of support. We really want to encourage students to go outside their comfort zone, to meet Canadian friends, to join clubs and sports with Canadians and other internationals. It's a really important experience to come to Canada and meet Canadian friends. But what is surprising to international students is the number of friends they make from around the world. So we really need to balance that. And again, Winnipeg is such a small city. It's possible for friends to meet after school in minutes. It's possible to meet at a shopping mall or to meet at a museum or to meet at a meeting center or restaurant. It's very easy. So it's not necessary to be with friends all the time. That said, as I said, we have our largest schools, almost 2,000 students. So I can guarantee that two friends from Chile attending the same school will not be in the same courses, right? Because of the number of courses available. It really is about balance. We want friends to be together, but we also want students to make new friends, Canadian friends and international student friends as well.
Thank you very much, Deborah. I mean, I totally agree with you. And well, all the parents, thank you very much, Deborah. I'll switch to Spanish. Muchas gracias a todos los asistentes. Si quieren algún comentario sobre esta experiencia, les llama la atención, han enviado a sus hijos, quieren enviar a sus hijos, dejen sus comentarios. Estamos para ayudarlos, el equipo de Yaicos. Mi nombre es Cristian Rueda, formo parte del equipo de Yaicos. Tenemos amplia experiencia con la educación canadiense y estamos para ayudarlos con lo que necesiten. Well, Deborah, thank you very much for your valuable time and thank you for sharing with us all this information. So we'll get in touch pretty soon, all right? Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Bye-bye.